know God's power and what he can do and understand his grace, but I will be a prime example, and hopefully when you walk out of these doors tonight, you'll be re-energized and know his power even more. Because my release date was 2016, but it actually took the President of the United States, President Bill Clinton, to sign a document that released me from federal prison after having served 6.5 years. And that was a miracle, because that's something that does not typically happen every day. So I'm very grateful, again, to have this opportunity. I also want to thank my husband, who's at home taking care of our almost 3-year-old. God bless him. Hopefully God is watching over him, because I'm noticing this little girl right here. She's so calm and patient. That would not be my daughter. She'll be running circles around here. But this is my first time in Springfield, Massachusetts, and I'm just so grateful to be here. And I'm so glad that it was warm today. I came prepared with my gloves and my hat, but I didn't even really need it. And it's just, again, amazing at how God works, because walking through the door, there was a woman who greeted me, and her daughter actually was incarcerated with me in Danbury, Connecticut. And while I was incarcerated, God seemed to put people along my path to help keep me up. So I want to thank you, Brenda's mom, if you're still in the room, for taking the time out to come hear me tonight and to be supportive. But usually I show a video where it's a BET interview clip. And in this video, you will be introduced to my parents. You will be introduced to my son. I also have an 18-year-old son who's a freshman in college. And I'll tell you more about him, too, because he's got his own testimony. But in the video, you would see me in my prison uniform, in my khakis, and actually in federal prison, because some people just see me for face value and not really being able to imagine me actually being incarcerated. Don't let the clothes fool you. God has brought me through some stuff. I was a diamond in the rough. And I'm not one of those people that have been through my prison experience and said that I didn't do anything wrong or try to sugarcoat stuff. So I am grateful that there's some youth in the room, so that you can gain some knowledge, because since my release in December 2000, it was important for me, despite my attorneys telling me that I needed to move on with my life and not speak out publicly about my ordeal, because they knew that the federal government was not happy about the president signing a document to release me. But despite them advising me not to speak out, I knew that God opened those doors for a reason. And I tell people, be careful what you pray for, because when I was on my knees praying to God, asking him to free me from my situation and to allow me to be a voice for our young people so they won't have to go through the same path I went through, I had no idea how he was going to do it. And actually, when I prayed that prayer, it was only until after I was sentenced to 24.5 years. So I was looking at a piece of paper that said my release date was 2016. So I didn't know how God was going to answer my prayers. But understand that even while I was incarcerated, God had me share my story. And it's been important for me to do that. Most of us adults in the room wouldn't want to talk about the poor choices we made back in the day. We want our kids to think we just had it all together all the time. But for me, I feel as if each and every young person shouldn't have to make each and every mistake there is to make in life, that they can listen to someone else's story and make a determination that they don't want to go down that same path. So that's been my commitment in coming out, but also, too, after putting myself aligned with other people that are advocating towards drug policy and reform, it has also been important for me to speak out for the voiceless that I left behind in federal prison. I was a first-time nonviolent drug offender, had never been in trouble before, sentenced to 24.5 years. You would think that story is unique, like, goodness, how could this girl get so much time and she had never been in trouble before? But it was shocking to me going inside the federal system and seeing just how many other women just like me who had never been in trouble before, who had 20, 30, 40, 50 years. There are two women who are still incarcerated with that I was friends with who have already served 18 years of their sentence. They were not, and they have a life sentence. They have not been afforded the same opportunities that I have. And so that's why it's been important for me to continue to speak out for them. In coming out, one of my first speaking engagements was for the city of Richmond. At the time, the mayor was Tim Kaine, and I spoke before an audience of 3,500 people. And again, this is an example of God's grace. I didn't know what I was going to say. When he invited me to do it, I was hesitant. But then I realized what I had promised God. And each and every time, like, this does not come natural to me. I basically don't like to be in the forefront, but God helps me through each and every experience, each and every speaking engagement, so that his work can be done. And from that moment forward, I've been on the public speaking circuit for over 12 years and sharing this Kemba Smith story. And ultimately, my parents raised me in a good home. I'm an only child. In elementary and middle school, I did everything that my parents asked me to do. I played by the rules. But ultimately, when I started high school and started liking boys, something went haywire, just a little bit. But I can remember there was a guy that I had a crush on, and he was the star basketball player at my high school. And one day, he gave me his gold chain to wear. And I can remember being all excited about this gold chain and going home and telling my mom how excited I was, how Derek gave me this gold chain. And my mother let me go through my whole little spiel. I saw her facial expression start to change, and I had no idea what she was getting ready to say. But she says, "Kemba, when you get to school tomorrow, you make sure you give that boy his chain back, and I don't want to ever see it around your neck again." Now, in my mind back then, I was like, my mama is tripping. And young ladies, do you think I gave Derek the chain back? No, little Miss Know-It-All Kemba said, "No, I'm going to keep this chain." And, you know, basically, I would tuck the chain underneath my shirt or tuck it in my pocket. But eventually, I was in the marching band in high school, and my mother came to pick me up one evening, and she didn't find me in my normal spot. And so she went over by the football field house, and there she found me and my girlfriends. And I saw her pull up, and I know none of you young people ever feel this way, but when she started getting out the car, my heart started beating real fast, like, what is she doing? She gets out the car, comes up to me, and what do you think was shining around my neck but that gold chain? She snatched the gold chain from around my neck, went inside the football field house where there was nothing but guys and coaches, found Derek, and told Derek, if I ever catch this chain around my daughter's neck again, I'm going to flush it down the toilet. That was it for me in high school. Basically, all the guys in high school knew my parents were crazy, and they did not play. So if I was going to talk on the phone to a boy, it was going to be an undercover operation. I'm behind the couch trying to make a phone call. But one of the things that I didn't realize of what my mother was trying to teach me was the fact that no boy, no man should be able to give you something tangible and automatically think he's in good with you, that you guys can start a relationship just because he's giving you something. It takes a lot more than that. It takes a lot more as far as showing you respect, showing you certain characteristics in his manhood for you to even consider being with that person or being in a relationship with that person. But that's why I believe it's important as parents to make sure that you're having healthy communication and dialogue. I know oftentimes we want to just be the authoritarian, and if I said do it, you do it, don't ask me why. But ultimately, we need to make sure they're understanding the no's so that they can understand the full lesson of what we're trying to teach them. And so when it came time for me to decide what college I wanted to go to, in Virginia, there was this school, Radford University and Hampton University. And so ultimately, I went and visited Radford University, and it was pretty much like my high school experience because I grew up going to predominantly white public schools. And when I got there, I was just like, I don't know, maybe we'll see. I'll come back to this one. But when I went on Hampton University's campus, the moment I stepped foot on that campus, I have to be honest about this one. I was with my parents too. And the first thing that came to my mind was just, oh my goodness. Look at all these fine black men. And I knew right then and there that Hampton University was the school that I wanted to go to. I didn't care what my major was going to be, what they were good in. I just knew that Hampton was the school for me. And got there. During the summer I did well, but then when the fall came and all the students came back on campus, I had a little problem with the fact of comparing myself to other people. And one of the things that I didn't realize that I let go of from my upbringing and being in the church, because my parents did raise me in the church. My grandmother in Norfolk, Virginia, which is where I'm currently living, made sure that we were in vacation Bible school every summer. When my cousin and I were double dutching, if she said, wash up, we're going to church, you better not suck your teeth. You better make sure you run in the house and do what she says. But ultimately, I had certain issues with myself, and I didn't understand that God made me as an individual, and I didn't need to compare myself to others. I thought my nose was too big. I thought my legs were too skinny. I mean, today I know I'm a 10, but back then I just had some major issues. And I would see this guy come on campus. His name was Peter. I would see him come on campus and pick up upperclassmen girls that were in the dean's list and in sororities. And I used to wonder who this guy was, because even hanging out around the grill, I would see, guys walk up to him and want to befriend him. And eventually it came a point in time where we met, and I can remember having this warm, fuzzy feeling inside because he noticed me and, carried on a conversation with me. Young ladies, are you out there? Make sure you get this. It should not take a man for you or a boy for you to get a warm, fun, fuzzy feeling inside about yourself or make you happy or put a smile on your face. That's something that you should be able to do on your own each and every morning when you wake up. Regardless of if you got dried up stuff on your face or whatever in the morning, when you look in the mirror, you make sure you tell yourself, I'm beautiful each and every morning. Because what the mentality of what I should have had and what you young ladies should have is that it's a privilege for him if you take the time to say hello and not the other way around. And that's the kind of self-esteem that our young girls and our young men need to have for each other, and especially if you're a child of God. And ultimately, Peter and I developed this relationship that was 3.5 years long. I can remember hearing about what it was that Peter did. He came on campus in different cars, oftentimes chrome rims, music screaming out of the system, but yet I would see him coming to pick up different girls. And I suppose, I was excited about the fact that he noticed me, but I really wasn't concerned about what he actually did. I guess I thought, just like some of the other women, that whatever he's doing is his business and my thing is school. But there became a time where we had intimate conversations and he discussed with me some of the things that he was doing. And ultimately, in my mind, which I know none of the more mature women in the room have ever thought this way, but in my mind as I was listening to him and he was saying how he didn't like selling drugs and how he used to live a legal lifestyle, I thought to myself, well, maybe if I stay with him, maybe I can help change him and influence him to do the right thing. Somewhere along the line, I got it twisted because my parents did not send me to Hampton University to convert some drug dealer thug into being a law-abiding citizen. But I listened to him, and initially he was